Hi, and welcome back to Football Made Simple. We're back with an in-game analysis as two great managers in Mourinho and Klopp faced off in the Premier League. A single Bobby Firmino goal was enough to see Liverpool win, and the XG indicated that Liverpool narrowly created the better chances. But what tactics did both managers use? Let's have a look. A quick reminder of the formations, provided by today's video sponsor, OneFootball. As you can see, Liverpool used their usual 4-3-3, and although Spurs may have on paper had a back three, that changed on the pitch as we'll see. If you want match updates, transfer news and more, check out the OneFootball app through the link in the description. Let's start with what Spurs looked to do in possession. Spurs were for the most part reactive, as they just about had a third of the possession, and for the most part, they faced repeated problems during their build-up. The 3-5-2 on paper was more of a 4-4-2 in reality, with Serge Aurier pushing into midfield and Tanganga moving to right back. Early on in the game, Spurs were risk-averse and did not look to play out when under pressure. Instead, they would often look to hit Liverpool quickly on the break, as they would have pushed their team high when attacking. However, as Liverpool often staggered Van Dijk and Gomez with one high and one low, they were usually able to deal with the long balls to Lucas, who often found himself isolated. So, despite winning some aerials, he often had no one to knock it down to. The times when Spurs did look to have gotten in behind the Liverpool defence from a long ball was when Van Dijk and Gomez didn't stagger themselves, allowing Lucas to break the offside line, although Alisson was often on hand to sweep up. But when they did build up from deep, they struggled. Rose was the more attacking of the two fullbacks, looking to push high on the left to allow Son and Ali more centrally, as you can see in the average positions. However, Liverpool were consistently able to press them high, with the front three pressing narrowly and cutting off the wide passing angles. Winks would provide the passing options, but was the sole pivot, as Eriksen and Ali were often pushed high in preparation of winning the knockdown from a long ball. As a result, Winks was often easily cut off, giving the Spurs centre-backs less options, and even when he did get on the ball, he had no immediate passing options, as the rest of the midfield was high, and therefore turnovers were forced easily. The attacking picture got slightly better with the introduction of Lamela and Lo Celso, and Spurs shifted to a dedicated 4-2-3-1 rather than the hybrid back three they had been using. They still struggled for the ball, but Mourinho now got his forwards to bunch centrally behind the Liverpool midfield line, which had dropped into a deeper 4-4-2. This forced the Liverpool midfield backwards, giving Winks more time on the ball. He could then look for intricate passes to get men between the line, which they had success with, using individual skill to create long shooting chances, but they could also go wide to the freed fullbacks and have a cross, which is what led to Lo Celso's 0.55 XG chance. But overall, Spurs struggled in the attacking phase. And now let's look at how Liverpool looked to create chances. Liverpool enjoyed the majority of the possession, and as a result looked to play out from the back. When the centre-backs had the ball, Spurs sat deep in their 4-4-2 with no high press. At times, Liverpool looked to draw a press by building up with a back three, as one of the midfield would drop into a centre-back role and look to make the pitch wide to spread out the Spurs press, but for the most part, the Spurs forwards held their ground. Firmino spent a significant amount of time in the midfield double pivot to ensure that they had the numerical superiority in the midfield. This would draw the Spurs defensive line forward, and Salah or Mane ran into the resulting space in the channel, leading to many half chances. But for the most part, Liverpool looked to exploit Spurs' left-hand side. This was often through a defender dropping deep to the left-hand side to allow Robertson to push high up and have Mane tuck in. From this position, they could easily create the third man run. Aurier's attention was on Robertson, so a pass to Mane would allow the overlapping midfielder to then get into this zone for the cross. Their preference for the left-hand side is shown by Robertson attempted the team's most crosses. But if this route was blocked off, it played perfectly into their secondary attacking ploy. From this position, they could easily create a side overload, and Salah would tuck into the inside right channel, dragging Rose or Tanganga with him. Trent would then move up into this region, and most of Van Dijk's long balls were to complete the switch. From here, Trent could look to cross into the box or pass it to Salah on the inside right. From the opposite side, Mane often made interesting diagonal runs into the box, which Salah would look to find. But it's also important to note that they performed this side switch to both sides. But by attacking with so many numbers high and central, it constantly left their flanks open for Spurs to attack on the counter. They got into dangerous situations this way, but couldn't make it count. In the end, Liverpool will be happy with the result, but perhaps not the performance, and Spurs will need to increase their attacking threat in big matches going forward. But what did you make of the match tactically? And do you think Liverpool will go unbeaten? Or how many points do you think they'll accumulate? Leave it down in the comments below. But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.